But the coin that I added to the portfolio today is called vEmpire.
And they are the largest decentralized metaverse investment organization in the world.
Hello, everybody, and what a lovely day it is. Let you kick off, and I'll do some button tapping in the background. You know what comes after Roby and Qcoin? When Binance. Good afternoon, all. We have season 2 of the Bald CEO Show. I'm not sure what's changed, but what is actually the same is our first ever season 1, which we didn't even know there were seasons at that point. Wow, my hands look big when I do this. We have Ethereum Towers returning, but a new face. So yeah, Brandon is out and in. There we go. Even at the GA.
Yeah. Well, I also wanted to GA. It's actually morning for me, but I also wanted the big hands here, Dom. So I wanted to make sure I threw it out there just like you.
I get a bit, like off-centered because I get put into this corner afterwards, and then it's always backwards, isn't it? Back to front. Yeah. But I spy a metaverse in the background.
Yeah. Actually, we took this photo January the 1st, I think. There's a handful of us from our staff that hopped into Ethereum Towers, and I guess we did a little building and then took a picture. And if you actually go check out our Twitter page, you'll actually see the picture that was taken, and it was in one of our penthouse suites. So it was amazing. It's been quite the journey, and I'm sure we'll get into it.
Was that at 1 minute past midnight on January the 1st after a swinging party at the penthouse, or was that in the daytime?
If you think I can stay up to midnight, you just don't know me, Dom. I think I put the kids to bed by 9 o'clock, and I think I was out cold by 11. So, had 2 beers and then was in bed. I'm not the type to stay up past max 11:30. So it was January the 1st at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So
fair enough. And where are you? Which state are you in, or am I? If you're Canadian, you're going to find that really insulting.
Yeah, no, I don't find it insulting. I am the Canuck of our group. I actually live in Saskatchewan, Canada. So imagine being able to watch your dog run for miles, this kind of thing. Like you can watch, if your dog runs away, you can see it for days. So it's unbelievably flat. It's very prairies, but I'm right now in the central time zone, so I don't know, 8 hours behind you at this point, Tom. So your afternoon, it's 9 a.m. here. Just finally got the kids all settled. They go back to school here right away. So, I can't wait, man.
Fair enough.
It's gonna be good.
I was gonna say, where is in terms of cities, because I only know lots of Canadian cities, more than the average UK person, and that is purely because I was actually a netminder for 8 years playing ice hockey in the UK, which is actually a very strange.
Oh, really?
UK. It's probably completely normal for someone to play hockey as a teenager, in Canada, but for the UK, that's like such a strange sport to play because we have so little like competitiveness. So I do know like Ottawa, Calgary, Toronto, and more. What city's closest?
Probably Edmonton. Edmonton, Calgary are very similar. So
nice. Are your team?
We're both. Yeah. No, actually, Calgary Flames are my team. So growing up, I also played like super competitive hockey, but my favorite player of all time, his name was Theo Fleury, because way back in the day, he was like an unbelievably undersized player. He was like really gritty, was able to mix it up when he had to, etc. And it kind of resonated with me because when I was playing hockey, I was 5'0", maybe 100 pounds soaking wet. And I would just get absolutely demolished. But it just kind of resonated with me. Plus, they won a Stanley Cup back when I was an infant, and I think it's like one of my first memories. So, yeah, no, Calgary is my team.
You can imagine. I'll give you one guess with who's my favorite netminder, and I'll give you a clue that he used to play for Ottawa Senators. It's an old goalie.
How old are we talking here?
We are talking
Like the early 2000s?
we're talking like he would have been playing like 20 to 10 years ago. So at the same
Anderson?
time as Michael Ra, but not him. Like sort of that era.
Oh, okay, so Patty Waugh.
Oh, it was Patrick. I said Michael.
Who would it have? Yeah, no, it's Patrick Waugh.
See,
He
my
would have
brother was
been.
Colorado.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. So it would have been like the Danny Alfredson days. It would have been.
I'll give you a big
I don't know.
clue.
Who is it?
He wore a player's helmet. Dominic Hasek.
There's still a handful of those. He didn't play for Ottawa though, did he?
Ottawa Senators, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Then his playing career went Buffalo. Then he went to Ottawa or Detroit.
Yeah, because when I
Detroit
knew
was
him,
his other big team.
when I knew him, he was definitely. I'm checking here, but it's got to be. Yeah, I've got him here at Ottawa. But when I knew him, he moved on to Ottawa
Buffalo?
Senators. That's the whole time that I knew him. But no, you're right. He does have Buffalo listed here as well.
Yeah, Buffalo, Detroit
yeah.
are like the two major ones.
Buffalo, Detroit, Ottawa. So it's because after Ottawa, he went to Moscow to play. So I would have caught him at the very end.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, no, I don't remember him making the move there because he won a couple with Detroit, and he was unbelievable. Like he had no form whatsoever, but that was his form. So
the Hasek row.
Yeah. All you do is you just like throw your legs up in the air, throw your arms in all sorts of different directions. You know, it confuses a goal scorer. So
that was very much what I tried to recreate, scrambling. But the thing is, you couldn't actually try and do that in a match. You just had to save it for training. Otherwise, people would hate you if you suddenly started rolling around on the floor pretending that you were, all that.
Yeah. I played a little bit of goalie here and there, but I was not nearly good enough. But yeah, I remember trying to recreate the Dominic Hasek. You know, you'd start on one end and then you'd magically flip your pads up over. It seemingly felt like the crossbar to make it to the other side. It was just he was flopping around like a fish.
And coaches used to then turn it into like a warm-up exercise, just to like where you just flick your legs back and forth. I remember doing that. But there we are. We'll get on to Metaverse.
Yeah, I was gonna say we can talk about hockey all day if need be. All right, who tuned in for the hockey chat with?
Maybe next time.
Maybe.
So for those who haven't caught Brandon here last time, do you want to go into a bit of detail about how Ethereum Towers started, what you guys are building? I'm sure it's fairly self-explanatory by name, but
yeah, absolutely. So Ethereum Towers is sort of our genesis project of the Ethereum world's metaverse. As our first, sort of virtual destination, Ethereum Towers kind of serves as sort of like the epicenter / maybe like focal point of the Ethereum world's metaverse. Now, Ethereum Towers actually started September of 2021. So what is? I'm trying to think here. We're coming up on 16 months, I think. Yeah, 16 months. And way back when, it actually started out as a loot style project. I don't know who's been in the NFT space as long as this, but remember loot style projects as like you kind of dreamt it up, whatever it wanted to be. It was like loot, whole bunch of them, right? So
I was around for the old style. When I first met you guys, you had the old style apartments that were just scary colors. Like pinks and yellows.
Every floor had like a different, floor had like a different color to it. Oh, yeah. Anyways, I guess to expand a little bit more, back then we were releasing like one floor every, 3 to 10 days, depending on, sort of people's availability. With it being sort of a loot style, the main thing behind it was just going to be kind of design it however you wanted in your mind, and there was not a whole bunch going on. To say the least, the community blew up very quickly. We went from like 50 people in Discord to seemingly like 5,000 in like a matter of a month. So at that point, obviously, we took a hard look in the mirror and decided, all right, let's do this all via professional. So at that point, we actually hired a professional architectural firm to come in and design Ethereum Towers for us. And as for all those that haven't seen, feel free checking out ethereumtowers.com. And at that point, you can see what the towers look like. They got this unbelievably twisting. It's 2 towers, goes up, 102 stories. You name it. It's really cool. Then from there, we actually hired a game designer to help us put together a technical requirements document. So effectively telling us how we should build the game. And at first we were thinking, well, maybe we build in like Sandbox or Decentraland or Wilder Worlds or all these different sort of metaverses. And effectively after like 2 calls, it became very clear that Ethereum Towers could never build in there, and primarily because of height restriction. But we also did have obvious concerns about poly count and us being able to customize it. So from there, we decided to make sort of the big change and actually develop our very own metaverse. And we hired unbelievable development firm out of the UK. They're called Unity Developers to help us with the overall build. They're actually one of the very few Oculus approved vendors. So they can actually develop on Oculus, and it's an approved Oculus app at that point. We hired in sort of an external team to help us build a marketplace. We have the token ready. We have liquidity staking. All that stuff is all ready to go. But that's a little backstory, I guess, on Ethereum Towers here. And as we get closer to sort of the beta launch, I'm sure there'll be some questions surrounding that. So.
Yeah, exactly. We'll tease that. That way people have to stay till the end. That's the good trick. Save everything. Save the best bits for last, because then they have to listen to the whole thing. This is how we trick them. But yeah, I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Apart from the beta, like I know that I've been speaking to Brandon now since it would have been at least like 12 months ago. I think we were chatting. I think we got chatting in like December of last year. So at that point, you were just very much starting out and thinking and thinking about how you do the tokenomics and everything like that. And then since since that November, but technically I think Feb was the real drawdown in when the bear market officially started, I guess some people would say. So what have you guys been doing in the interim? How have you seen like activity on your servers affected?
Yeah, obviously this market is not ideal when you are trying to build a metaverse, but we have been staying unbelievably busy during this time period. First and foremost, obviously, we continue to build our metaverse. In fact, the beta version officially went out to some staff using the Oculus before Christmas. Some of the features that are built into the game are truly game-changing, sort of like features. And I can't wait till everybody gets a chance to use stuff like that creator tool to build sort of their very own resident-owned, apartments. On top of that as well, we have finished up sort of our companion app. So that companion app is actually like a built-in marketplace. It's where you'll be able to get your tokens, where you'll be able to stake your tokens, all the liquidity pool as well will all take place within sort of our companion app. On top of the Oculus, we've actually built a WebGL component as well to go along with it. So super exciting. We've actually released our 2.0 for our white paper. So please do, if you haven't been to our website yet, go to our website, click on white paper. I know Jason and Brandon have spent a crazy amount of time building and developing sort of that white paper 2.0. So spend some time in there, read it. Obviously, we took sort of that original white paper and expanded on it. I know a lot of people find it boring to go in there and read it, but please do. It kind of gives you a good understanding of, the reasons you should look at investing in Ethereum Towers, all the different sort of use cases to it, the reasons why we're kind of building the metaverse as such and kind of like targeting those non-gamers. for our metaverse. So yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, trying to get people to actually read in this market is quite difficult. As I found out, have you got colouring book instead?
Yeah, it's actually connect the dots. So the connect the dots will actually then read out the most important. Yeah. It smacks them in the face with the real good information.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a good idea, actually. I'm going to trademark that. See what advisors for, eh? But yeah, you mentioned the word, something we always like to expand on, game changers.
Yeah, no, obviously we have really taken our time and actually developed a number of different sort of game-changing features. I kind of hinted at one there, and that's that easy-to-use creator tool. For myself, anyways, personally, nobody should have to spend 3 hours in a developer's course. Not everybody should have to be like game developers or understand how to download SDKs and how to use it in order to actually build their own experience within sort of the metaverse itself. So for us, anyways, we spent a lot of time on that creator tool. It is, like I mentioned beforehand, we built it on Oculus. So it is quite literally, you lift up your left wrist to look at sort of your menu. You click on what you want to do, whether that be edit walls, whether that be change floor textures, whether that be update wall textures or NFT showcasing, which we can touch on as well, or place an item. And then from there, you use your trigger on your right joystick and then point and press A, and it adds it in place. It's unbelievable, and it's very simple to use, to the point that I would trust my mom, who doesn't know anything about computers, to hop into the metaverse and kind of play around. On top of that as well, the other big thing as well is when you go into, I guess, existing metaverses, nobody really knows what they're doing quite yet when it comes to their space. So sometimes you'll go through huge stretches of like barren land, which in my opinion just isn't quite visually appealing enough. So within our metaverse, with it being resident-owned apartments, they're just hidden behind closed doors, and they'll stay that way. So people can continue to use Ethereum Towers or whatever sort of metaverse as speculative, as a sort of a speculative investment, but it won't ruin the experience for everybody else. And then with it being a metaverse designed for Oculus, and more specifically developed in sort of that style, which is called like interpreted realism. It really does truly provide like a immersive experience. If you even ask some of our staff, they actually lost track of time while playing around in their apartments, kind of like building. You hop into your apartment, you'd be like, I'll hop in there for like maybe 30 minutes, and like poof, 2 hours is gone. And you've kind of like made yourself a meeting room or an art gallery or whatever it ends up being. And don't worry, if you don't own an Oculus, or maybe you don't like the idea of having an Oculus, we are building like a WebGL component to go along with it. So you'll be able to access it from your computer as well.
So they're going to be more targets as well as your mum for non-gamers?
Yeah,
I'm presuming that your mum's a non-gamer here, but
yeah, my mom is definitely a non-gamer, but I actually purchased her an apartment, and she's still holding on to it. It's in her MetaMask wallet, even though she's like the type of person. And maybe this is actually something I do often
by listing it like, paper handed it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'd be the most heartbroken son of all time. She just sells it off. What I really want to like kind of like hammer home here is, listen, if we want to see we feel like the metaverse should be for everyone, and not for just the select few that have development experience, or development experience in Blender or Unity or Unreal Engine 5, or have downloaded these complicated SDKs in order to actually customize the experience. If we are looking for Web3s and metaverses to truly blow up, to the point where we're onboarding, sort of the mass, we need to make it as simplistic as humanly possible. And without that, not everybody's going to spend 10 grand or 15 grand to develop their space. They're just not. We want to make it as simple as humanly possible, while still offering them a number of different sort of like options, or like different options to choose from when it comes to their metaverse. So that is actually something that we've really done well within Ethereum Towers. Is there is quite a few, I guess, standard items within a catalog that people can go in there. So even if, let's say, you're not an art collector or something, you can hop in there and you can start, kind of developing your apartment. Maybe turn it into, a nice little showroom. There's like little vases and couches, and maybe turn it into like I don't know, memorabilia area or something. There's lots of different opportunities when it comes to it. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, yeah. Apart from obviously that's the main thing. You see a lot of them in Decentraland. Decentraland is full of art galleries. So I guess I've got a few in my mind, but you can definitely tell me a few more that pop into your head. Sort of the other use cases of the apartments. What having an apartment complex allows for that you don't get in like an open world style, for example. And yeah, what can you get in there too?
Yeah. Obviously the art gallery is definitely the most popular that I've heard. People just want to be able to showcase all the different sort of NFTs that they've collected over time. We didn't just stop there though, because we do have the API that allows to show off your NFTs that you own. We actually built our very own API that pulls sort of the images that you've created yourself. So if you are, let's say, an artist within Ethereum Towers, and you want to be able to showcase all the different sort of artwork that you've created from a specific wallet, you can actually use that, and Ethereum Towers will pull that information in. So, if you are an artist, you want to go and show off to everyone, hey, look at all the amazing artwork that I've created over the past 3 years, 10 years, whatever it happens to be of sort of your life. You'll be able to do that. It'll automatically pull in all those various items. You can place them on the wall. It'll still show that like you created this, but you don't necessarily own it. So it's a huge benefit to artists in general. I also, though, myself have actually created a specific room into sort of like a meeting room. It has like conference rooms, tables and chairs, and I guess has more of a familiar setup to more of like a fancy meeting room. So
that sounds
let's say you have
incredibly boring a thing to put in as your like second thing. Major access. What are you gonna do? Conference room.
Yeah. Imagine versus having sort of your a meeting like this in via Google Meet or StreamYard or whatever it happens to be. You can hop into our metaverse and potentially be able to host something along those lines. And it makes it feel a little bit more personal. I don't know what it is. It almost feels like you're in the same room.
This is the season 3 episode that we're planning already.
There we go. Yeah.
There we go. Usage for the apartments. There we go. We got one.
Yeah.
And
probably actually the coolest one that I've seen though. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off here, but the coolest one is still to date, and I've mentioned this a handful of times. Somebody wants to turn their space into a maze, and eventually within Ethereum Towers, you'll be able to charge access to your room. So effectively what they want to do is they want to have like a little mini maze room where people can then like go into it. And when you go into our penthouse, people will end up quitting. I can guarantee you they'll quit because they'll get lost in there. It's like 7,500 square feet of potential space you can build in, and you could really make it difficult. Like people without a doubt will end up quitting that maze, and it'll be tons of fun to watch. So anyways, that's my little spiel on it. So,
and what apart from mazes, which is certainly a special and unique item, does that count as an item? I guess more of a arrangement, or setup, or furnishing. That's what I'm looking for. Are there any other special and unique furnishings or features, even such as allowing people to have shops or like stools, or how's everything like that going to work?
Yeah, so that's a little bit of like a two-part question. So I guess when it comes to Ethereum Towers, we are going to have like a standard catalog any apartment owner will have access to, and it'll have stuff like, you know, chairs, tables, you know, a handful of desks, sort of like your generic items that you would help furnish your apartment with, unbelievably boring stuff. And then we have like, I think 20 different floor textures and roughly about the same amount wall textures. So no two apartments are actually ever going to be identical. It's really cool. But on top of that as well, we've actually partnered up, I think, with like 15 different artists to allow them, they provided us with a handful of, you know, different like posters that people can place within the metaverse itself. So if you are a person like my mom, who has never collected anything outside of Ethereum Towers apartment because I'm the one that purchased it for her, you will still be able to decorate your apartment with a handful of different pieces of art. And it's because these 15, you know, these 15 odd artists, you know, and they're not small artists. You know, we have like Harv from Harv Blocks, we have Bull Market Girlfriends, we have, I don't know if I'm allowed to actually save the rest. I'm just trying to think. We haven't released it yet, so I don't want to give away too much, because Tom is he's your traditional like UK partnerships guy who would probably, you know, tear me a new one if I give away too much before he's quite ready to. But there are some really cool ones in there. I can actually say maybe the one that I brought in, Nell from Hearts NFT or Anatomical Hearts NFT has created some artwork for it. So super cool stuff. And yeah, it'll allow you to showcase it. You can't resell it, so it's just effectively like cool posters that you can kind of like put up in your apartment. And then once market conditions improve, and you know, we can definitely touch on this, but like once market conditions improve and we can release our token, you'll be able to use that token to buy some really unbelievable, unique in-game items. I don't know if you've seen, has Brandon shared with you like the jukebox or like the grand piano or like
not those. He did show me the. He did show me when he first had a chance to do the thing.
Oh, okay.
With the like pad that you mentioned at the beginning, but no, I don't think I've seen the jukebox. But then he might be watching this thinking I sent that to you, and you.
Yeah. And then you'll get one of those messages from Brandon that I get when I have not paid enough attention to his message, where he'll send it to me again, and rightfully deserved. You know, sometimes my brain just doesn't work on the same level as his. It's the reason why he's a CPO and I'm the behind the scenes guy. But anyways, yeah, we have hundreds of these different sort of items that will be purchasable from sort of our marketplace and through like the vault. So yeah, it's super exciting. And these items are we've spent a lot of time, let's say, putting together this list, and Brandon is super excited to show off some of it. And probably my favorite one is actually a red carpet, because I'm just going to make everything in my house, when you step through doorways, you have to like walk through a red carpet, just to make it extra fancy. But that's just me.
So far we got conference room and like a red carpet. I don't know if they have them in Canada, but in the UK we have like these like social clubs from the 80s, and they've all got the same like plush velvet like carpet with like weird patterns on it from like literally like 50 years ago, all scuffed. And it's like it's the most garish thing, and I'm just imagining that you just absolutely love, like, the richer the better. Like, would you
no, it is the faux rich. Let's call a spade here.
Fair enough.
I couldn't. Is that like the Soho House, or like which?
I'm trying to think. Oh no, I mean that one sounds way too fancy. It's like it's just like, you know, like crushed velvet, like a smoking jacket.
Yeah,
that's the sort of thing that I'm imagining when you say a red carpet.
I think we do actually have velvet as one of the, but it's not red. I think it's like purple in the environment itself.
That is a classic.
Mads gonna get so mad at me. She's one of our mods, and she's been playing around in there, and I feel like she said it was purple velvet, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Yeah.
So when token is the question?
One token. Holy moly. I've gotten this question quite a bit as of late. And obviously, Ethereum Worlds, aka like Ethereum Towers, entire ecosystem is dependent on Tower token. So TWR for all those that haven't seen yet. So it's important that we just don't release it just leisurely and watch, because right now, let's call a spade a spade. The market conditions have been just like fluctuating like crazy, and I still think that we're gonna go down some. But the last thing we want to do is release it, have the token coin go way down because of external factors that we can't control. It's always a little bit crazy to me that the coin itself can be directly affected by the price of ETH or Bitcoin or whatever it ends up being. It is very much so altcoins trend along with everything else. So if we were to release it, our biggest concern is, let's say 2 days from now and DCG announces bankruptcy, and then all of a sudden everything takes a sharp turn. And then at that point, the token has lost value. We want to wait until market conditions become a little more favorable for ourselves before we release to the general public. So in terms of an exact date, there's no exact date. I'm hoping, maybe beginning of Q2. I'm not too sure though. We're just kind of playing it all by ear and taking your advice, Dom, as one of our advisors. I believe you were the first one to tell us and reach out to us and say, don't you dare release that token, way back in, what was that, June-ish of this past year?
Well, at first,
I believe you used a few explicitives, but
the first thing I did was I think Brandon said about the fact that, so I think at first you were planning on releasing the token earlier in the year, and then at that point I thought it was okay. So I said at that point, like the market had dipped from like 66 to like 50, and I think Brandon had said, "Oh, we're thinking about pushing the launch backwards to the end of the year," and I said I wouldn't. I said the conditions aren't going to get better, and then obviously, then next time when the token it was just such bad. Like the problem is like there was not a good time, and even back then, probably like even though it was a better time to launch, inevitably it would have just ended up dropping. Like honestly, I recommend everyone watching to actually do this, and yourself, Shane. If you haven't, go onto CoinMarketCap and scroll from like 1 to 1,000 or 1,500. You'll be absolutely shocked at some of the names you see so far down that list. And don't even look at the charts, because obviously I was showing some of my team yesterday, I think. Like there's some tokens backed by like Animoca and Binance Labs that are worth like 200K now. It's absolutely mental. And that is all from just sell pressure. And like when you do have VCs who bought in early enough, I mean, I know you guys tokenomics, and I know that the discounts weren't large at all for market conditions, but you had some of these tokens that were like, letting somebody in like 10 times below listing price. And inevitably, if someone is still 10x just at break even when the token's like just flatlining, that's very tempting 10x, especially when the rest of their portfolio is taking 90% drop. So yeah, there's no point launching in these conditions. I mean, once, fingers crossed, my hope is that things get so bad so quickly that they have to pivot and change monetary policy around and everything like that. But yeah, things need to get to that final capitulation, because the market's suddenly now got some like seller exhaustion. Like we've had tons of bad news. That DCG thing with Cameron, was it Cameron Boss? Calling out bad, but like that would have caused panic back in the day. Nobody cares, because just everyone is like, it's like the South Park meme. I didn't hear no bell, like just bloody. So yeah, I think there's going to be further downside, but what is going to take us there, God knows. I think it's just going to be a full-on. I think once the stock market full-on capitulates, then we'll maybe see it. But yeah, at the moment it's just painful. yeah, definitely doing the right thing by not launching, even though I know there is
Yeah.
some pressure. And now, see, at the end, we're towards the beta conversation. Do you
Yeah.
want to reveal all that you can reveal, and have a little chat about like what that looks like, and then sort of
I,
the future beyond?
I will, happy to discuss this because I don't think a lot of people know yet. We officially have entered into beta testing. So prior to, I guess, the current beta version, it was just like a handful of us. It was just like Jason, Brandon, and myself that was like hopping into Ethereum Towers, and we were using that to record content, etc. However, just before the Christmas break, we we started letting our staff that own Oculus in there because we want them to test it out, make sure that they can find all like the breaking points, etc. So things are looking very, very positive. All the feedback that we've received has been incredible. To be honest with you, besides like a few minor like crashes here and there, it went really, really well. I think at one point we had 9 people in one apartment. Yeah, I think it was 9. And nothing broke. It wasn't slow down the frames, nothing along those lines. So we're super excited. From here, we'll soon have our developers step in, fix those bugs, and then we're handling this very similar to like a traditional gaming company. So for all those that don't know, effectively what you do is you break it down into phases. So phase 1 will be like internal staff testing. Then from there gets released to a small number of different potential investors or KOLs or whatever it ends up being. It stops game. The developers go in there, fix bugs. Then from there, it goes into almost like an open beta. But we've broken it down even further. Those phases will be announced hopefully before the end of January. But let's just say some of the people that are going to be testing out in the near future, you guys are some of the biggest supporters of Ethereum Towers. So we want to ensure that you folks are getting access to it first and foremost here. So we should have some exciting news for you in January. Wink, wink.
Nudge, nudge.
Nudge, nudge.
And what does the future look like beyond that, beyond the beta?
Yeah. Now, obviously, the number one concern for us right now is just putting out a rock solid project, a rock solid product. Q1, Q2 going to be really big for us because those are going to be sort of that beta launch, making sure all the working parts are, effectively working, in one way or the other. We want to just ensure sort of that core product. As somebody that's like played video games for as long as I have, there's nothing worse than getting your hands on, a game or, a product and it's half put together. The areas that need to be developed aren't developed yet, but they've miraculously developed 98% of the rest of the game, but they haven't even handled some of those core functionalities. So as sort of a gamer, a lifelong gamer myself, I want to make sure that those pieces are taken care of first and foremost. Once we know that, sort of the core project or core game itself is done, Q3, Q4, it'll be much more like perfecting it and getting into those communal spaces and sort of those residential areas. And then we have some ambitious plans for 2024 and beyond. But once again, we're going to focus on the right now, and then 2024 and beyond. I would love to start developing some of those different environmental biomes, and we just hope people come along for the journey with us.
Sure they will. To anyone in the audience, reminder to I'll scroll back and go through questions from start to finish, but put any others now. Otherwise, everyone always ends up doing it just as I'm wrapping up, and then I go. So we've got ladies love bald dudes with beards. Yes, speak from experience. Thank you, VEMP God de Manifesto. We have also got. Oh, that was a question mark of someone saying, I'm great, how about you? But they're just chatting to each other in the comments. We got a few.
That must have been during the Dominic Hasek time periods.
Actually, it was prior to
right?
prior to the beginning, to be honest. Oh no, it was at 3:10, so it was. You're absolutely correct. They switched off completely from that.
We put them to bed. Yeah.
First one. This is a great
put
one.
them to bed.
Will Ethereum Towers have a strip club in it?
No. Let's put it this way: not in any of the company-owned areas. What you do in your own apartment, I could care less, because I can be completely oblivious to it and pretend like it doesn't exist. But no, Ethereum Towers will not have an official strip club. You heard it from me here first. I will not allow anybody.
Well, Brandon might be watching this, thinking, "What you? Oh, well, there goes that idea."
Yeah. Brandon just threw his computer across the room.
Not happy. Fair enough. Well, this Forever Assess, you can potentially build the first ever one. So there's a gap in the market, I've heard. Alpha was here first. Let's see what else we got. I'll try and send you a hoodie, Vemp God, if you could message Mike and let him know, and he'll post you one out. I think we've got a few spare ones. We've got so many, to be honest. That is it. The strip club was the question that we had from the audience. So unless there's any more that's going to be, we like to ask the important questions here at vEmpire.
Yeah, I was gonna say sex sells, and maybe we're missing something huge, but I think for
tell you what,
legality purposes, etc.
We do have one that didn't have a question mark at the end, so I didn't see it. We do have one which popped up on the screen, which is, what would a good year for Ethereum Towers look like for you personally?
For me personally, I want all of the beta versions done, very minimal issues. From there, I would like the communal and sort of those different, I guess, retail areas to be finished up, and then are head on straight for 2024 and beyond. And I should say, like, the retail and communal spaces, those are the areas at the bottom of Ethereum Towers that will be like different stores. It's going to be, stuff like a cinema, a Zen garden. I want to do like a library, etc. within there. Just like general meeting areas that, if, let's say, you don't necessarily want to go to somebody's apartment, but you want to just go hang out with individuals, they can go to those certain areas. I think, how will Metaverse change omni-channel retailers in the next 5 years? It's actually a really good question. I think retail itself will dramatically change because of potential metaverses, especially when you start looking at stuff like, I'm going to just say Ethereum Towers because it's our very own, but where obviously we're going to have these different stores, and within those different stores, you will be able to purchase items. And once again, as we begin to develop more, it'll be stuff like, being able to purchase, let's say, a vEmpire hoodie, right, from the store itself, being able to buy it in game, but also receive it in person. So being able to almost do 2 in 1. And then from there, if that particular item has been redeemed, if you want, you can still sell it off to somebody else, but at that point, you just aren't able to redeem an IRL hoodie. You'll still be able to rock that vEmpire, sweater in the metaverse itself, or you might be able to sell it off to somebody else. You just won't be able to redeem it for another hoodie, or maybe you're able to do it. But being able to dress up your digital identity, your digital avatar with IRL stuff is sort of probably going to be the next wave, in my opinion, of sort of that phygital, I believe is what it's called, phygital goods.
Keep hearing that.
So.
It really grinds on me.
I was gonna say, what's funny? It also grinds on Brandon a crazy amount too.
Oh, really?
Tell
you what, I can see that. We're both like pessimistic British people. That's a problem. Just grumbling at the change in the world. Like, we don't like it. We just want normal. But yeah, I mean, if it brings the next wave, I'm all for it. Anything for that wave. But yeah, thanks for that question. That one came from LinkedIn. We don't get many LinkedIn questions, so very good to get one there. So I will wrap up. If there's anything else you want to cover or direct, let people know, like the website and the socials.
Yeah, so if you haven't already, just hop over to ethereumtowers.com. Surprisingly enough, our main Twitter account, 25,000 people, randomly got locked out on December 5th of this past year. So yeah, it's crazy. Locked out. We've been contacting Twitter every single day, just try to get them to unlock it. In the meantime, though, we have moved everything over to ETH Tower Social, and we'll make an announcement on that here as well here in the near future regarding the Twitter account.
I might have a
stop by our Discord.
I might have
Do you have a
link for you.
Way in?
Yeah, I'll chat to you afterwards.
Yeah, please do. To be honest with you, we've reached out to quite a few different individuals, but during the mass Twitter exodus, all of our contacts just went the way of the dinosaur.
Yeah, they're really not very efficient anymore. But oh well, that's the price we pay for freedom of speech, apparently. So there we go. But yeah, thanks so much for joining. Looking forward to season 3, first episode of Ethereum Towers in Ethereum Towers. But we won't give a time frame.
That sounds amazing.
Because I think otherwise you'll be stuck to it. And if it's not, then we'll have to be season 4. But there we go. But yeah, thanks so much to the audience. Make sure that you go and pop into the Discord, and hopefully I can get their Twitter back and you can go there too. But yeah, thanks so much for joining, Shane. And to the audience, see you all next time.
Thanks a lot, Dom. Thank you all.